Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, so today I'm going to bring you a video that a lot of people always want to know about. I know the real ways to do it, and that is how to save battery life and speed up your iPhone 8. Now, these are going to be features that I would recommend doing almost all of them for any single user, but of course, if you don't use a feature or if you do use a feature more often than others, then just don't use those. Alright, now let's get to it and see which ways are the best ways to save your battery life. Alright, now one of the first things that drains your battery life the most is definitely going to be Siri. So with Siri, we're going to go into here and turn off Hey Siri, because that listening does drain your battery a lot more than you might think. You can also turn off certain things in terms of the lock screen Siri. So if you, again, don't want Siri to always be running when your lock screen is on, that's fine, you have that ability. And even suggestions in certain things. But the main thing is Hey Siri would be the biggest thing that you want to turn off for Siri itself. Another thing is going to be the brightness and display. Now you can imagine that you're going to turn off or fine tune a lot of these things in this area to save battery life. So first off, you do always want to obviously turn auto brightness off, just because it's better if you set it at a certain rating, so that way you're going to have a much better indication of your lighting than it having to rely on the sensors and the sensors being on at all times. So you're going to turn off True Tone as well. That again will stop these sensors from needing to be used all the time. Another thing you're going to want to do is turn off Raise to Wake. This actually again make sure that the entire time, every time you lift up your phone, your gyroscope is being used, and turning that off will help that be used a lot less. Also, of course, by default, your auto lock is set at 5 minutes. I would set it to 1 or 2 minutes, depending on what you want. That way that you have the ability to have your screen time off be a lot less. Alright, now the next setting we're going to go to that drains your battery life a lot is privacy. So in settings, we're going to go to privacy, and we're going to do a couple of different things here. So first, location services. Turn off share my location. If you really don't use this feature that often, it really does drain your battery just because it's always checking your GPS for this purpose alone. Next thing you're going to want to make sure of is any of these apps are always just doing it when you're using it, unless it's an app like Maps. But if you see any app that does use always besides a navigation app, you want to change it to while using the app. Especially for apps like Google, say if you don't use Google Maps but that did have it, it could always be using your GPS in the background. So that is a very important thing to turn off, or not turn off necessarily, but have it to the right setting, which is when using. Then we're going to go to motion and fitness, and you're going to turn off, as I already have, fitness tracking. Honestly, the gyroscope is one of the least reliable ways to actually check your step counting. It's just not that good. It's better to get an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something along those lines, but this definitely drains your battery. So turning that off will actually speed it up and allow you to have a better battery life. Turning off analytics is always a good thing as well. This way you're not being tracked for a lot of things anyway, and the best part about it is that you have the ability to save battery life. Same thing by limiting your ad tracking. By default this is turned off, but if you turn it on, this will actually limit the tracking and advertisements that are being done with you, so this is a lot better to do this. Okay, now one of the biggest sections is definitely under settings is general. Now we have a lot of things to go through here, and that is first AirDrop. If you don't use it, turn it right off. That's simple and easy. That way it's not looking for other iPhones around you. If you don't use handoff, if you don't own a Mac and you don't use this feature, turn it off. Simple, easy, and that saves you battery life right there. The big section here, of course, is accessibility. Now we have a couple of different things here that will save your battery life if you turn them on the right way. First one is increase contrast, reduce transparency. This is this transparency, so now it's gray instead of having that transparency on it. This is going to be better for you though. Also, reduce motion. This right here again will make sure that things like parallax and other things such as that aren't on. However, it's really going to save you in battery life. Another big thing that I already showed in my hidden features video is, of course, the ability to do Smart Invert through accessibility shortcut, which is just a dark mode. So if you triple tap the home button, 1, 2, 3, you're going to go into dark mode, and you can simply take it off by 1, 2, 3. But using black and darker colors is better. The less white you use, the better typically on your phone. Now, this is definitely going to be better with the iPhone X. For black, it will save even more battery life, but here it still does save a good amount as well. Now, another thing you can turn off is actually things like 3D touch. Do you not use 3D touch? A lot of my friends that have iPhones never use it. If you actually turn it off, again, this saves you battery life. That motor is not on at all times. That sensor is not being used, so it honestly helps your battery life out. So if you're not using it, just turn it off, and that will save you battery life as well. Other than that, that's the things I would turn off. There are other things you can turn off, but I feel they really hinder the iPhone experience more so. 3D touch is an optional one, but really, vibration I would keep on. That's something that some people do turn off though. And Siri, some people use type to Siri, which we have in a hidden feature video and talk about that more in depth, but these are different options you have the ability to do. Now, the other thing you can actually go to is going to be background app refresh. So background app refresh, simply put, any app that you do not need to run in the background, you can turn it off, or you can turn them all off unless they're in Wi-Fi. This way your app is not continuously refreshing in the background without using it. So I find a happy medium is Wi-Fi, but also if you want to, you can just turn them off in certain apps. So certain apps, all these apps are running in the background. You don't need all these apps to run in the background, so you can turn off the ones you definitely do not need to run in the background. Things like mail, social media, maybe you want to, but something like Facebook that drains your battery life a lot, you might not want to have running it in the background. So that would probably be the number one I would do for turning off in the background. Along with navigation, maps, I don't really need them to run in the background. So those are going to be the big changes in our general section. Now, another really important feature is your iCloud backup. Now, a lot of people obviously always want to have their iCloud up to date, but you don't want to use your cellular network to do it. I think this is just silly. You can wait till you get to a Wi-Fi location for that. So the simple way to do it is actually just right here in cellular under settings, turn off iCloud Drive. What this does is it only will transfer everything when you're in a Wi-Fi location instead of transferring it all the time to your cellular network. And you also might want to turn off Wi-Fi Assistant just because that always makes it look for Wi-Fi locations. It just drains your battery a little bit quicker. So again, these two things I would just turn off so you don't have that on in your cellular data function. Alright, now we're going to go to some of the quicker things in settings. So first thing is obviously for iTunes and app, you don't want to have it automatically update the app, so that's fine, so turn that off. You also do not want to get this thing always coming up, and that is your ratings. They will ask you, oh, rate the app, turn that off. That way you rate it when you want to. You don't have to always get asked about it. I think that's just a much better way to do it. The other thing is going to be over down in the apps that you don't use. So do you not use news? Do you not use Safari? Do you not use, which apps do you not use? For me, I do not use the news app, so turning that all off is really great for me. So again, you can get it back if you want, but at least these two, I don't need it to run in the background. I do not need it to run on cellular. So maybe when I'm in Wi-Fi, if I want to catch up on the news, that might be a better thing. But it's up to you when you want to. You can turn that on if anything, but at least turn on backup app refresh. It doesn't seem like that necessary for most users, I would say. iBooks, if you don't use this, boom, turn that off. If you don't use podcast, again, turn that off. All these things are running in the background unless you turn them off, so it's really simple and easily. You can go into other apps and turn off things like notifications possibly, or things such as that nature, and to make sure they have what you want. So whichever thing you want to do, you can actually just do that in an individual app basis. But those are going to be the most parts for the basic settings of your built-in apps. Alright, now for the last couple, they are more your basics. You probably heard most of these before, but just in case you haven't, I want to explain some of the basic features on how to save battery life. So one is having your wallpaper be static. So if you go to wallpapers, instead of choosing the dynamic and fun ones, keep the still version, and that's going to save you battery life. The other thing is going to be widgets. Turning most of them off will actually save you battery life as well. So if you have a lot of these coming up, you want to turn them off so that you actually have a better battery life in that case. And you also want to either turn off your phone once a week or at least clear the RAM once a week. Now, if you don't know how to clear the RAM on your iPhone, that's holding down the power button and then holding down the home button until it goes away. As soon as it does, it will have cleared your RAM. You want to do this about once a week, or better yet, turn your phone off once a week, or maybe do the RAM every 2 to 3 days and then the phone off once a week to preserve the best battery life. Finally, it was an obvious one, so I didn't really go into it, but if you do go into settings and then go to your battery, you are going to have the ability to, of course, go into low power mode. This will, of course, help your battery life out and make sure you have a much longer battery life. So that is another great way to do it. Alright guys, hopefully you did like this video. If you did, please give a thumbs up down below. Thank you as always for watching. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe up there. Make sure you follow us on social media right here. And of course, check out our latest video up there. And right down here, you're going to find the perfect video for you. Or at least that's what YouTube tells me. Thanks again.